Good evening, all, and I welcome you all to today's knowledge sharing session. Today we have wonderful guest with us, Mehak Kalaji. So I'll introduce her. I take this opportunity to give her introduction, and then we will start soon. I apologize for the delay in today's session because 5:30 we were supposed to start, and it got delayed. So of course it may get a delay in ending time also. But please bear with us. So, Mehak Kala, she is the founder of Athena Training Academy, regional director since today, initiative of JBR Howard, organizing secretary, Kankapura Customer Rights Organization, member of 10K Goldman Sachs, member of WICCI Women of Substance Award, Global Awardness, COVID-19 Warrior Awardee, then Her Rising Awardee, Woman Entrepreneur 2020. Wow, so many feathers on your hat. Wonderful, wonderful, ma'am. It's a great opportunity for us to have you with us today. She has completed her MBA diploma in IATA Foundation Travel and Tourism, diploma in ATA Consultant, diploma in ATA Managing Travel Business, IIB certified. So I find the list is too large. So many qualifications and so many.
Let's make it a little short and start the session then.
Yes, yes, yes. So I guess it will take half of the session to read out her profile. Really wonderful opportunity for us, Mehak, that you have actually considered our request and today you are ready to deliver your session. So over to you, Mehak. Thank you very much. In brief, you also introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Neeta. That was brilliant. I know the profile, sometimes I didn't have time to cut short and send it to you. So I just sent the whole thing just like that. Happy evening to all friends here. The profile may seem too very, maybe a lot of written things, but I am like any one of you over here. Just a starter and just a learner. So I'm there here to share some of the tips and knowledge which I have gained through my career lines. And currently I have an institute in Bangalore in the name of Athena Training Academy, which has two wings. One is into aviation, travel, tourism, and also into hospitality and retail. And the other wing caters to soft skill trainings. And that's how I got connected to Vijay sir, and am there with all of you in the group. So in fact, my key resource person to get you all to get me to this platform is Mr. Vijay, and I'm very thankful for him to introduce me to all of you. So without wasting much of your time, let's go ahead for what we all have there here. We are there here to talk about business presentation skills, and I'm very sure all of us are very much interested in knowing about business presentation skills, because irrespective of the fact that we may feel that we do not do presentations, but at some given point of time, whether it is spoken or whether it is written or whether it is non-verbal communication in any form, we are there in the business world talking about and doing things. So that's why this topic is close to my heart, where I felt it's very important for me to go about and talk about how we can do effective business presentation skills. So what I have for all of you today is about how we can plan, write, and complete oral presentations. So we are looking at a lot jam-packed session in getting in some knowledge on our presentation skills, which is so very important in today's state, because if you can sell, then you can sustain. If we are not able to sell ourselves what we have, then the entire knowledge remains entirely with us and it does not become a two-way process. So that's why I'm here to share this particular topic with all of you here. So are we all good to go for it? Are you all with me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Dr.
Yes.
Mehak.
All right, so let's go ahead. Now, when we are talking about the business presentation skills, now the chances are that you will have to deliver a number of oral presentations throughout your career. You may not speak before a large audience of employees or the media, but you will certainly be expected to present your ideas to your colleagues, make sales presentation probably to potential customers, or even if you're not looking at doing some sales presentations, you may engage in other kinds of spoken communication. So regardless of your job or the purpose why you're doing the presentations, you will be more effective if you can adopt an oral presentation process that follows very simple steps. And the 3-step process, that's the substance of the message, is planning, writing, and completing. So what we are going to do is we are understanding how to plan your presentation, how you write it after you've planned, how do you put it across into the writing, and then how you complete your presentation. So it's a simple 3-step process where we are understanding the planning, writing, and completion of the presentation. Now, when we talk about planning an oral presentation, we are talking about planning speeches, we are planning the presentations, how we are going to present it. So when we plan an oral presentation, it's just like planning any other business message. So you may be planning to, talk to your boss, you may be planning to talk to your colleague, interdepartmental talks, it could be with anyone. So any kind of a business conversation which you have, the message which you want to send across, even the planning oral presentations is very much similar to that, where it requires first and foremost to analyze your purpose. Why am I doing this presentation? What is it, the message which I want to pass across? What is it that I want my audience to know? So if I do not know the purpose, then it is like I'm undertaking a journey, but I don't know where my destination is or what my destination is. So the entire essence of your message will be completely lost in the first step if you are not able to determine that this is my purpose and this is why I want to do the presentation, followed by because that's your investing into your audience. So you are going to invest your time, your purpose is identified. So it's very much important for you to analyze your audience, investigate the information which is essential for you. What is it that you need to know about the audience? So when I say analyze your audience, I'm talking about from what demographics they are coming in. We are talking about what is their age group, what is the demographic area, what is the language understanding which they have. So if I cannot, now, can any one of you tell me why is it so important for us to analyze our audience before we actually go ahead and present?
Of course, to create that relevance, if we don't know actually to whom we are speaking, it becomes very difficult to build that rapport, and we could not connect them. Then the whole whatever conversation will be there, that will be of no meaning if whatever I am speaking, it's not helping to them. So yeah, it's for understanding, basic understanding we should have when we are
Right,
doing some kind of
absolutely,
conversation.
bang on. So we are looking at, once we have determined what is the purpose, the next step we are doing is we are analyzing for whom are we doing it. So analyzing your purpose and your audience is like investigating the necessary information, and based on that you're adapting your message to the occasion and your audience so that you can establish, as Neeta just said, establish a good relationship or establish a rapport. Now, however, because the presentations are delivered orally under relatively public circumstances, they require a few special communication techniques. For one thing, a presentation is a one-time event. Your audience cannot leaf back through a printed pages to review something you just said earlier. You must, therefore, it becomes very essential for us to make sure that the audience members will hear what you say and remember it. So that becomes essential for us to, first primary goal we're seeing is that they just don't have to listen to us and go, but they also have to remember what we did. So in order to do so, what do? You must capture their attention immediately and keep them interested. If we cannot keep the audience interested, definitely they are not going to stay with us in terms of they're not going to be on the same page. Now, if I have to just lecture you for the next 2 hours, I'm very sure even if the topic is very interesting, but you may just want to just kind of have a quick nap. What do you all say? If I'm not able to relate, if I'm not able to get the taste buds of yours, in fact, if I feel that somewhere, if I'm not able to gather your attention in terms of keeping you occupied, making it worthwhile, the investment of 2 hours which you're doing it, time is money. So if you're investing the 2 hours of your time for learning in some skill, definitely you would want to be capturing. I have to have the capability of capturing your attention. Otherwise, that would lose its complete essence. So we are looking at keeping them interested. Otherwise, we are definitely going to lose them, and chances are we may never get them back. Therefore, when we prepare our presentation, we need to define our purpose clearly. Think in the ways how I could engage my audience. What is it that I'm going to, what am I going to do to engage them? Then the next thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to gather information. Gather the information of what is it that they have come for and what is it they're looking forward for once the session is completed, or for the training which they have come in, or for presentation which they have come in. What is it that they are looking out for? And then I adapt accordingly to the message. Now, there are some common purpose or reasons why business presentations are done, where you have your audience member, you have the presentation content, and you have the presentation styles. So oral presentations can be categorized according to the purpose. Now, once you've identified the first step, that this is the reason why I'm doing a presentation. I'm doing a presentation because I want to inform. Like I want to, right now, what I'm doing as a presentation for you is to give you some information on probable some techniques which you may know, or which you may know to some extent, and you're gathering a little more information from this particular session. So I am there here to inform. Now, if you have sometimes looked into some television, the ads which come up in the channels, in the web series, or whichever series you're seeing, you see some advertisements. Have you been tempted any time to purchase any product by just looking at the ad? Has it happened with any one of you?
Yes, of course, many times it happened.
Yes. So which is a product, which is one product, which is, it could be a mere chocolate or even a soft drink or anything, not essentially something big. But what is it that just looking at the ad, you felt like, oh, this is really worthwhile and I need to have it?
Now, as you have taken the name of
Any
chocolate,
one product.
I could see only chocolate ads, but yeah, it's really tempting. Any chocolate, even whatever other that delivery for example, pasta and pizza, these people show, even we feel like tempting. Oh, we have to purchase it. Again, there are several
Yes.
other things also which are not eating things, but other things also. When people show it in particular manner, even it has happened to me many times. Ki I take my buying decision without thinking anything, just looking at the ad only, I purchase it. So it happens many times.
Right. Absolutely. So what is eventually happening is that the desire has been aroused in us. Yes, the desire has aroused, and without much of efforts, the company who is showing you the advertisement is able to persuade you to go ahead and purchase their product. Yes, so that can be one of the purpose of business presentations. It could be to persuade and to create a goodwill. Like if you see the Apple advertisements which come in, the MacBook, or it could be the Apple iPhone. Now, when they come up with advertisements, they are creating that desire. They're persuading you with their presentation styles, which is encouraging you to go ahead and, even before, maybe you would have just read the reviews, but you are looking at going and investing the same in that. Now, that could be one of the reasons. The other reason why commonly presentations happen is because they want to do entertainment, which we all know entertainment world is really, really big. And if you really want to be entertained, then that kind of a strong presentation has to be there for you to entertain. So it could also mean that sometimes you have this motivational speakers coming in and giving motivational speeches, where it is encouraging you to go ahead and perform. So for that, they give you the presentation, which could be motivated. So what we have looked at is oral presentations would be characterized characterized into various purposes. The 4 basic reasons which we have identified is either you want to give information, or you want to persuade, or you want to motivate and to entertain. Now, most of the presentations which we do or the speeches will be informative. That means it requires a straightforward statement of the facts. That's your information presentations. If you are a salesperson or if you are in any marketing positions, then probably you will need to be delivering quite a persuasive presentation. And speeches would be presentations as well as speeches. The motivational speeches tend to be more specialized because it has a purpose of motivating someone. So many companies, usually they will hire professional speakers to handle this type of presentations. Entertainment, like you had this TEDx speakers, if you would have watched any of the TEDx speakers, you would see that they are not just speaking, they are giving you examples, which is really, really giving you a lot of motivation. So entertainment speeches are perhaps the rarest, which you don't find too much in the business world, but they are limited to after dinner speeches and to speeches at probably if you're going to a convention or probably if you're going to a retreat, then you will see this kind of entertainment speeches or entertainment presentations which happen. Now, whatever your purpose is, your speech has to be very effective if you want to keep your audience interested in your message. So to do so, you must understand who your audience members are and what they need. Now that we have identified the purposes, we also need to know what are the opportunities which you get when you do oral presentations and what are the challenges which you face when you do a verbal or a oral presentation. So you may never actually write out a presentation word to word, but that doesn't mean that developing its content will be any easier or quicker than preparing a written document. So if you have to speak intelligently about a topic which actually involve more work and more time than preparing a written document about the same topic. So writing effective oral presentations, we have 4 stages or 4 phases. Organizing the message, creating the introduction, we will come to that. So the opportunities which you have, which you're looking at, is on the spot. Now, what is it is good about doing a verbal presentation? So what according to you is good than a written presentation? A verbal presentation is better. So according to you, what could be the benefit of doing a verbal presentation? What could be the benefit if I give you a choice that you have a written presentation and then you have a verbal, which one would you prefer?
So verbal is more effective because what happens is when you are speaking, you can add your expressions. You are if even they are it's a physical kind of thing like classroom mode. They can see your body language with your expressions and your body language. They may understand many things. In written, it's very specific, wherein you cannot add the expressions. Yeah, with few of the words you can add few of the expressions, but it's not that much touchy, as effective as verbal communication. So it is add-on when you are in addition to writing if you are giving it verbally.
Right, absolutely. So when we are looking at the verbal presentations, the opportunities or the advantages, which we call it as the advantages and disadvantages, like we read in the school, is that it is an on-spot feedback. If your audience has not understood something, or if your audience has some questions, it can be immediately answered because it's an on the spot. So whether your audience actually enjoyed it or your audience actually learned it, they're not able to resonate with you, we're not able to relate to what you were saying, you were not on the same page, all those details, the detailing aspect of it can immediately be gathered because it is an verbal or the oral presentation. Also, if you see, say for example, you're there in a room and you have your audience and then you suddenly see someone is getting a little waved off, they're getting a little sleepy, or they're kind of not interested, you're able to immediately gauge the pulse of the audience and you're able to make changes to your presentation. Yes, say for example, if your presentation was somewhere in the close to afternoon hours, after lunch hours, So you can expect people will be a little kind of little more settled and laid back attitude. Yes, because you've just had a nice meal and then you want a little relax. So you don't find that energy levels as much as you would find fresh in the morning or late in the evening, isn't it? So you can immediately modify in that case. And also you could do a non-verbal reinforcement. What do you understand by doing a reinforcement? If certain things are going well, you know that this particular non-verbal communication of mine is really good and it is kind of being enthusiastic to the audience, you can reinforce that. You can keep repeating doing that. You can strengthen that skill of yours and move forward. Now, it's not all about advantages. When you're doing oral presentations, there is every possibility that you may also face challenges. So what are the challenges which I'm going to face? Maintaining control. So what do you understand by maintaining control? Not everything goes as you have planned. Certain things may sometimes not go as planned. And if someone has to speak up, has to have a very strong opinion, then that becomes a challenge for you to talk in the audience. Don't you think sometimes we face that
May
if someone
happen.
is,
Yes, in many of the
it's
oral
happened?
communication, verbal communication, it many times happen that you want to say something, but the way we say or whatever happened because of whatever specific tone we are having, sometimes people feel another meaning they take, and
Yes,
they may
yes,
question us, or they may take another meaning of something, because many times in English language it happens that something, if you speak in some another way, actually the meaning change or it delivers something else. So yes,
absolutely.
controlling that part, it's out of scope, then it becomes very difficult.
Absolutely. So sometimes we definitely face that kind of a challenge where we're not very sure how we are going to handle that kind of a situation. Where, you know, sometimes some people are completely into a different mode and we find it is very difficult. How do we address that? Because they may have a very strong opinion, or probably they have misunderstood or misinterrupted what we have actually tried to say. So misinterruption can be a big challenge. Sometimes how do you guide your audience to persuasion level of what you're trying to say? And sometimes the challenge can be where you can't easily shift on the topics which you're talking. So these are some of the challenges definitely we face when it comes to the oral communication. Now moving ahead is your written communication. Now sometimes when we are looking at doing a written communication, as I mentioned earlier, we may not write out the presentation word to word, but a good content which you develop, which is very easy and which should be there as a written document to you, is very important. So if you want to write an effective oral presentations, it has 4 main phases, which I just mentioned a couple of minutes back that we'll be discussing. So what are the 4 stages which we are looking at is, first and foremost, you organize the message. So when I say organizing of the message, what comes to your mind? How can we organize a message?
Regarding what is the subject, what exactly I would like to convey, and
Yes,
first I which information I'll convey, later which information I should convey,
absolutely,
how I
absolutely.
start, how will be the flow, how I'll conclude. So all this kind of thing I could organize.
Yes, so first I need to organize the message in the sequential order. I need to know what is the sequence it's going to follow. First, I introduce my topic to them, that this is what we're going to talk about. Then comes the main message, and then comes the conclusion. So first thing, you're organizing message in the logical and analytical order. Then you're creating an introduction, because one thing what we have seen in any kind of a presentation with out of experience, what I have seen is, if you have a strong taglines, if you have a strong opening statements, that's what encourages your audience to stay with you. Now, if I say next slide, please, is that a very strong statement? Does that kind of create any kind of an enthusiasm in you? Probably not. Yes. But if I have to say that today we are going to, we are there at this presentation, and then I have the opening statement, there's something in the air today. Does that create the curiosity in you to know what is it that we are going to talk about?
Definitely.
What is it that new which I've got introduced you to? So this is something which is very important as the opening statement, because creating the introduction is very important, because that is what will decide the interest level of your audience, if they want to stay with you or they are not going to, they are going to drift away into a different world in case if they don't find it interesting. Then you need to compose the body. So this, after you have created and organized your message and created the introduction, you need to compose the body by putting in what is the main message, what is the key point. So when you're creating the main, composing the main body, it becomes very important, have very bulleted points. Just have some bulleted points in, because if I use, so in other words, I need to pick up on one of the 7 C's of communication of being very concise. When I'm composing the body, my message has to be very concise. That means the optimal usage of the limited words which I have. That is what conciseness means. That your one word is giving the maximum meaning to the sentence rather than having too many words and confusing your audience. So compose your method with using the 7 C's of communication, and then finally write a beautiful conclusion by reinstating the purpose of what you have started the presentation for, like a recap. So writing a conclusion again is very important for you, for them to remember your presentation at the later stage. And then we are looking at organizing the message. How you organize your written message. In the similar pattern, you have to also organize your oral message, like focusing on your audience as you define your main idea, limiting the, so first and foremost, you have to define. You have the audience, you have the message, and you have the purpose. So it has to go in sequential order where you're defining the main idea. There is a clear cut that this is the main topic which we are going to talk about. And then you're limiting the scope. When we are saying limiting the scope, that means to say, now if you have to write any 2-line paper or an examination paper, you may not want to include too many points which is going to confuse your examiner. Similarly, you cannot confuse your audience with too many points. Now, my main idea is I'm going to talk about business presentation. Okay, it's a very vast subject. So I have to define it by telling that I'm going to talk about oral, I'm going to talk about the written, I'm going to talk about the non-verbal. So I'm limiting the scope, saying that this is what in the nutshell is what we are looking at, the coverage. Choose the approach. What is the approach you want to present it to your audience? And then go ahead and prepare an outline and choose what is your style. And remember, whenever you choose the style, let it be original. It's very important that you stay your outline, or sorry, your style has to be your own and not an imitation. Now I've given a choice. If I tell you that you have a choice to buy an imitation jewelry and a diamond jewelry, what is it that you would choose? Leave the budget aside. If the design of imitation is beautiful in compared to the diamond, and I give you a choice, you can either pick up on the imitation jewelry or you can pick up on the diamond jewelry, what would your choice be?
Of course, diamond jewelry.
Diamond jewelry. And give me 2 reasons why you would choose diamond against an imitation jewelry.
Of course, precious. Diamonds are precious. Value is more. Imitation, whatever beauty
Absolutely.
they are having, but it's not precious. Matlab, uh, when it comes to
Huh.
value, diamond will give
Yes.
more benefit.
So, yes. So we believe strongly that diamonds are forever and they are original. Yes. So none of us would want to go for an imitation, because at the end of the day, it's a copy. So no one would like to listen to a copy of someone else. You need to have your style, which is original to yourself when you're presenting. So you need to define the most effective, decide the most effective style for your presentation. What is that one message you want your audience to walk away with? Look for a 1-sentence generalization that links your subject and purpose of your audience frame of reference, much as an advertising slogan points out of how a product can benefit the customers. That's how you define your main idea. So effective presentations not only focus on the audience needs, but also tailor the material to the time allowed, which is often strictly regulated. So use the direct approach if the subject involves routine information or good news. Use the indirect approach if your subject involves bad news or persuasion. A carefully prepared outline just the starting point can be just more than a starting point for composing a speech or presentation. It will help you stay on task. Use it to make sure your message accomplishes its purpose. Your outline will help your presentation both audience-centered and within the allotted time. Choose your style to fit the occasion, depending on what your audience size is, who your subject is, what is your purpose, what is your budget, and the time available for the preparation. All will influence your style. Then we look at again, the opportunities and challenges which are there, which we have seen on the spot feedback, the challenges which we have in maintaining control. So developing a major presentation like writing a formal, so these are the opportunities and challenges which just a few minutes back we have discussed. So far, any questions? No? Are we good?
Yes. Others
Okay.
are not interacting. I'm only interacting.
I think probably my topic is not very interesting. I guess everyone knows about it.
नहीं सब एक्चुअली ये सारे टीचर्स लोग हैं हमारे सर विजय सर आप तो कुछ बोलो
No, I'm following. It's really interesting. Like it's like a thought provoking.
Right. All right. So developing a major presentation is as much like writing a formal report, except that you need to adjust your technique to an oral challenge. That's the only difference between your written presentations and your oral presentations. So speaking before a group offers you a certain opportunities. You are able to get your audience to give you a feedback immediately where you're transmitting your information, but also receiving the audience feedback without delay. Like just now, when I interacted, when I asked, I get an immediate feedback whether you're interested, not interested, some changes. So immediate modifications can also be done to suit the audience needs. You can adjust both the content and the delivery of the message as you go along to clarify or to be more compelling. Now, when it comes to the non-verbal reinforcement, you also have an opportunity to use the non-verbal cues, which I just mentioned earlier, that, if you find someone who's a little sleepy, not enthusiastic, a little low on the energy, where you're able to express your meaning and emphasize on what's important. Also, you could use an oral communication channel to present you with some challenges. It's not just all about good things. We're also addressing some bad things. So challenges could be where you're not able to maintain the control. The more you expect to interact with your audience, the less control you'll have of the situation. Like especially it happens on the, you all would have experienced as teachers, it especially happens on the online modes where you cannot actually enforce someone to switch on the videos or interact with you. So this is one of the challenges, which is what we have seen on online mode. You as teachers also would have experienced when you are training your audience. This becomes it's not something which is in your control. Helping your audience to follow what you're saying. Now, listeners cannot refer back and forth to what you've been talking about. So sometimes it's hard to clarify. And also keeping them on track sometimes can be a little dicey situation. So shifting topics smoothly, I start with something and I end up with something else, can also deviate you away. It could be a challenge. So halfway, sometimes it happens through a presentation or comment from some audience. It happens, someone asked me something in between and I got so carried away that I completely lost track of what I was talking of, and I'm completely derailed myself and moved to a different topic while I'm addressing. So certain times this also could pose as a challenge. So now, as we are looking at, it's very important for you to arouse a very good introduction to your message. A good introduction will arouse the audience interest, establish your credibility, and also prepare the audience for what is going to be followed, what is going to come next for them. So arousing audience interest, how do I do it? You need to, first point, when you want to introduce your message, you need to arouse interest. So for that, what do I do? Start by capturing the audience attention. If you're presenting to a small group, Involve the audience, encouraging the comments from the listeners. When speaking to a large group, respond to comments can interrupt the flow of your information, weaken your argument, and also reduce your control of the situation. Therefore, it's best to ask people to hold questions until you're finished. Be sure to allow ample amount of time after your remarks. Now, building your credibility, how do I do that? You can do that by establishing your credentials quickly. People will decide about you within few months. Building credibility is easy for a familiar, open-minded audience. For strangers, especially the skeptical ones, try letting someone else introduce you. If you introduce yourself, keep your comments simple and don't be afraid to mention your accomplishments. Previewing your presentation helps your audience to understand the structure and the contents of your message. So give them the cues to figure out how the main points of the message can fit in together. At the end, we need to understand and summarize the main idea, identify the supporting points, and also indicate the order in which you're going to develop them. Establish a framework that will help your audience to understand the facts and figures that are related to your main idea. And then as you move into the body of your presentation, they are able to easily transit along with you. Now, when you're composing, there were 3 steps which we saw. So the second step is you're composing your message, which is by limiting to the main points and then connecting to the ideas and then engaging the audience. Now, the bulk of your speech or presentation is devoted to the discussion of 3 or 4 main points in your outline. So you can use the same organization pattern you would use in a letter or a memo or a report, but keep things simple. An oral presentation must rely on the words where you're able to link the various parts and ideas. For small links between a sentence and a paragraph, you can use 1 or 2 transitional words. Therefore, because, in addition, in contrast, moreover, for example, these are your transitional words. For example, consequently, nevertheless, this is some words which we very often use, or sometimes even finally. So to link the major sections of your presentation, you need to use complete sentences or paragraphs such as, now that we have reviewed the problem, let's take a look at some of the solutions available to us. Every time when you want to shift your topics, be sure to stress the connection between the idea. Summarize what you have told and then preview what is going to come next. The longer your presentation, the more important the transition becomes. You have also to hold your audience attention. So these are some helpful tips which will help you to engage your audience. First, relate your subject to your audience needs. Understand your audience needs and then relate what you're going to talk about accordingly. You can also anticipate your audience questions. So you will be able to know that this is what the expectations and this is how you're going to answer it. Use clear, vivid language and explain the relationship between your subject and familiar ideas. You can also ask opinions or sometimes pause occasionally for some questions or comments. So this is how you'll be able to engage them. We've also seen how you can connect your ideas in between when you want the transition by using some transition words and also not deviating too much and not creating a confusion in your audience. Finally comes is concluding the message. We have done the purpose, we have done the body, and now you're going to conclude it, which you can do by restating the main points, describing the next steps, and end on a strong note. So the close of a speech or a presentation is almost as important as the beginning because audience attention peaks at this point. Now, you know it's going to get completed. Okay, we are 40 minutes up on our presentation. At the next 20 minutes, I'm done. So you're completely active at that point of time. So you need to devote about 10% of your total time to the ending. When developing your conclusion, what you could do is begin by telling your listeners that you are about to finish. So they'll make one final effort to listen to you intently. The moment you say, "Khatam hone wala hai," so automatically the attention spans goes. And then, the final attempt for them to, yaar, kuch miss to nahi ho gaya, sun lete hain. So that attention comes in. Restate the main points once you've decided how you are going to announce your close. Also plan to repeat on your main idea. Be sure that you emphasize what you want your audience to do or think and state the key motivating factor. Finally, you need to reinforce your theme. And how do I do that? I can do that by repeating 3 or 4 main supporting points, which describes the next steps. Now, some presentations will require your audience to reach a decision or to agree to take specification. So if you expect any action to occur as a result of your speech, you must explain who is responsible for doing what. Alert the people to potential difficulties, or if there are any kind of pitfalls, and end on a strong note. Make final remarks and encourage and make it memorable. You can always conclude your presentations with a very nice quote or a call to action or some encouraging words. Your task, what is your task as a presenter, is to leave the audience with a feeling of completeness. ये नहीं कि आधा अधूरा किया presentation, कुछ आधा समझ में आया and some I did not understand. No, it has to give a feeling of completeness. So do not introduce new idea or do alter the mood of the presentation. Very important is this. When you want to complete your oral presentation, evaluate the content of your message and edit your remarks for clarity and conciseness, as you would do for any business message. Develop any visual aids of the presentation, evaluate your message, develop your visual aids, and then finally master the art of delivery through practice and preparation by building your confidence and by polishing the way your present visuals and handle the questions. So when you are mastering the delivery and when you're using the quotes, you can always relate it to some little quotes. You can always talk about something which is very, very close and you can relate it. Like, have you all heard of Jackie Chan? Or probably watch some of his movies also?
Yes.
Yes. And some of you may have also known about Bruce Lee. Yes. The martial arts and the karate king. Yes. So in one of the interviews, Jackie Chan had stated what Bruce Lee had said in one of the interviews. So what Bruce Lee said was, I do not fear a person who knows 10,000 moves. I do not fear a person who knows 10,000 moves, but I definitely fear a person who has practiced one move 10,000 times. That's the power of practice. That's the power of the effort and the time or the investment which you do in completing your task. Yes. So you all would have heard about that Olympic winner in the race also a couple of years back. I'll just leave that as a homework for you to recall. He had won the race in 2 minutes in Olympics, which had earned him more than $800 million. It was just a 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, he could complete the race and he had won that many number of dollars. But the investment which he did, the practice, was 20 years to accomplish that. That's the investment which you do in your practice. Use of visual aids is very, very important for you when you're doing any kind of a presentation, because visual aids can improve the quality and impact your oral presentation by creating interest, illustrating the points that are difficult to explain in the words alone. Also, it adds variety and it's interesting to the audience ability to absorb and remember. So if an audience wants to remember some information with the visual aids, it's very easy for them to remember. So as a speaker, you'll need to find the visual aids that can help you remember the details of the message and improve your professional image. Speakers who use visuals generally appear better prepared and more knowledgeable than speakers who do not use visual aids. So today's speaker can select from a variety of visual aids to enhance your oral presentations. Among the most popular type of oral visual presentations are your overhead transparencies, electronic presentations, chalkboards, whiteboards, flip charts, slides. Yes, so you need to use visual aids which will help you to clarify the points, create interest, add variety, and also improve learning. So you can have these kind of visual aids, overhead transparencies, electronic presentations, permanent product samples, audio tapes, film strips, televisions, so many types of visual aids you have. So what is the advantages of transparencies? They're inexpensive, easy to use, they do have flexibility, they are flexible, fragile format, and it can be used on overhead projectors. Electronic presentations, advantages are you have the real-time data, they are flexible and portable, and disadvantages, you need specialized equipment, you need technique over content, and overuse of sometimes special effects. So electronic presentations is computerized format, which is easy to perform in real time, manipulative of data. You can change the graphics, add a bulleted phrase, even alter the sequence of your slides with a simple click of mouse. You can add animation, video clips, sound, hypertext, and multimedia effects to slides. You can pre-program, automate them, release of text, graphical elements. In addition to your electronic presentations are easy to store, transport, and customize for your different audiences. Electronic presentations definitely do not come without disadvantages. They require more expensive display equipments than overhead transparencies, especially if you're presenting to a large audience. Now, this equipment sometimes can be complicated to use and may not be available in all your situations. Secondly, most people spend too much of time focusing on the technical components of an electronic presentations. They pay more attention to the animations and special effects of their slideshows than they do to the content of the message. Third, it is inexperienced presenter tends to pack too many special effects in their electronic slides, creating visual feast of pictures and graphics that dazzle the audience, but blur the key message. Having too much visuals can definitely detract from your message. It forces you to rush to the presentation or to skip slides, so some of which may be critical to the message. So once you have planned what slide is going to say, organize the content as you would for a written message, then compose and polish the written content before focusing on the slide design elements. So when creating slides, keep in mind, simplicity is the key to effectiveness. Slides that are too complicated or complex or poorly written will only confuse your audience. So people can read and listen at the same time. So your slides must be simple, even though the audience needs to understand within the moment or two. Therefore, the primary focus of yours is to create text or graphic slides, is to keep the content and graphics simple, readable, select the design elements that enhance your message without overshadowing it, be consistent in your design selections, and use special effects selectively. So you can choose the colors theme. Color is a very critical design element, grabs the viewer's attention, emphasizes your important ideas, create contrasts, isolate slide elements. Colors can make your slides attractive, lively, professional. So while choosing colors, remember, use colors that stimulate emotions, be sensitive to cultural differences, limit your selections to complementary colors, use contrasting colors to increase readability, adjust color choices to the room light, order colors from dark to light. Additional design considerations which you can do. Color is critical design elements. Definitely it's going to emphasize. So you want to make it more lively. You want to make it attractive. A good background design is the key positive first impression. Design choice can silently persuade your audience to pay attention, or it can encourage them to look the other way. So choose the design that is simple, appropriate for the subject, and appealing to the audience. When selecting fonts, type of style slides, follow the guidelines, avoid script or decorative fonts. Limit your fonts to 1 or 2 per slide. Use boldface type of slides so that letters won't look washed away. Avoid italics because it is difficult to read when projected. Use both uppercase and lowercase letters with extra white space between the lines of the text. Use between 24 to 36 point type of electronic presentations, reserving the larger size for titles and smaller size for bulleted items. Headings of the same level importance should use the same font, type size, and color. Unlike transparencies, electronic slideshows can include number of special effects such as sound, animation, video, resists the tendency to use too many of these features. Extensive special effects overwhelm or sometimes is very overwhelming, and sometimes also it distracts the audience. So when used sparingly, special effects can add a punch to an oral presentation. So transitions control how one electronic slide replaces the another on screen. When used effectively, they can make your presentation flow smoothly from slide to slide. You keep your audience attention. Similar to the transitions, it helps you to control the release of text and graphics and the other elements on slides. So which you build with your bulleted points, which appear one at a time by coding text and hypertext. When you click on slides hypertext with a mouse, you take to a different slide in presentations to other. This is something which we are aware of how transitions and builds and hyperlinks work. Create handouts, a very terrific way for your audience to get some additional method without overloading your slides on the information. So candidates for good handout material include complex charts and tables that are too unvividly on screen, and company reports, probably magazine articles, brochures, copies of slides, pictures. So all this you can use as effective handouts. Master your development. Once you've planned, written, developed visuals of your presentations, now you're ready to practice your delivery. So you have a variety of delivery methods to choose from, some of which are easier, like memorizing. Unless you're a trained actor, avoid memorizing your speech, especially if it's a long one. You're likely to forget some lines and your speech will sound stilted. Besides, you often need to address audience questions during the speech, so you must be flexible enough to adjust your speech as it goes. However, memorizing a quotation, opening paragraph, or few concluding remarks can bolster your confidence and strengthen your delivery. If you're reading the technical or a complex presentation, you choose to read your speech, practice enough so that you still maintain eye contact with your audience. Speaking from notes, making a presentation with the help of outline, note cards, visual aids, probably the most effective way and easiest delivery mode. This approach gives you something which you can refer and still allows your eye contact and interaction with the audience. You can also have impromptu speaking. You might have an impromptu, unrehearsed speech if you've called on to speak unexpectedly, or if you've agreed to speak but neglected to prepare the remarks. So when you're asked to speak off the cuff, take a moment, think through, and then say what you have to say. Avoid the temptation to ramble. When you are preparing to speak, know your material, practice it, know your location, and adapt to the content. Build your confidence by preparing. Some ways where you can, all of us do get nervous sometimes. Nervousness is something which cannot be at given point of time avoided. In order to become a confident speaker, we can prepare more material than necessary. So combined with your genuine interest in the topic will reduce your anxiety. Rehearse. The more you know the material, the more less you will feel panicked. You're not going to feel very panicked. You can think positively. See yourself as a polished and a professional, and an audience will also see you in the same way. Visualize your success. Use some minutes before you actually begin to speak and tell yourself you are on and you're ready. Take some deep breaths. Don't panic. Take some good breath. Before you begin to speak, remember that your audience is silently wishing your success. Be ready. Have your first sentence memorized and at the tip of your tongue. Be comfortable. If your throat is dry, go ahead and drink some water. Don't panic. If you feel that you're losing your audience during your speech, try to pull them back by involving them in action. Ask for their opinions, pause for questions, keep going. Things usually get better as they grow. So these are some of your tips which you can get confident with. The most common mistake which we do while delivering the presentation is reading through the slides or notes. This the audience is going to get to know very quickly, and also they will lose interest very quickly. So practice your presentations. You will not be dependent either on your slides or on your notes. You must know enough of the subject and elaborate on it. So once someone is posing a question to you, focus your attention on the individual. Pay the attention to the body language and facial expressions, and to help determine what the person really needs. Be sure to answer the question you are asked. Don't sidestep it, ignore it, or laugh it off. Furthermore, don't say more than you need to if you want to have enough time to cover all the questions. Try to maintain the control during the question and answer session by establishing some ground rules upfront. Announce a time limit for limit per question before you begin. Give as many audience members as possible a chance to participate by calling on people from different parts of the room. If a question ever puts you onto the hot seat, remember to be honest, but keep your cool. Look at the person in the eye, answer the question as well as you can, and try not to show your feelings. Don't get into an argument. In case the audience is too timid or hostile to ask questions, you might plant some of your own. If a friend or the meeting organizer gets the ball rolling, other people in the audience will probably join in. So when the time allotted for your presentation is up, call a halt to the question and answer the session. Even if more people want to talk, prepare the audience by saying our time is almost up. Let's have one more question. After you have made your reply, summarize the main idea of the presentation and thank the people for their attention. So this is my thank you for you for listening me out for almost an hour. Thank you so much for listening. Any questions for me, please?
No questions.
No questions?
If anyone has any question, please ask. Yes, sir.
Yes, there are only two scenarios which happened. Either we understood it all, or probably we didn't understand it at all. So which platform are we on? Understanding. I completed a dot on time. Neeta, I didn't take more time than allotted to me.
No, understood. It was wonderful presentation, and it was interactive also. The only thing is from my end only I was speaking. Other people somewhat they was in the silent mode. Actually, nowadays you need to prepare some. Means there is a need for the research in online mode how to actually engage your audience and how to control, because somehow we cannot control if they are there or not, if they are sitting closing their camera off and all. So we don't know whether they are there or not. So it's really a big challenge. But anyways, today's presentation was wonderful presentation. And I think I want to request you one more presentation on how you have created your presentation, live presentation on Canva. Actually, I have seen for the first time.
Even I have the same question to you, Dr. Mahek. Yeah.
That is thanks to Canva. Technology is so well versed. It just kind of, even if we are amateurs, we tend to kind of get hands-on onto. Canva is very supportive that way. So in fact, I have created video presentations and all also through Canva. the animation ones, the video presentation. So it has a lot of options which you can do. And a lot of free templates also they have. So, until you want to learn it and become a pro in that, and then you can go ahead and take up the pro version. But before that, we can always try to do it on the free version itself and understand how presentations are done on that.
Definitely. It was really fantastic. When I saw for the first time, I said, oh, is it a video or what? Then I can see the clock, and then it was like live camera. Oh my God, this is something very interesting. So that's how I find it very interesting. So whatever presentation you have done, even we may request you for another presentation on the same, that how to create this Canva presentation. But fantastically, you have actually engaged your audience very nicely, and presentation was also awesome. So I thank you on behalf of III and whole team members, our management team members, and everyone. We are very thankful for your time, your efforts, and you accept our invitation and you deliver your session. Thank you very much. It was wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much, Neeta. That is wonderful. As I said, thanks to Mr. Vijay for creating a platform where we can, share and learn. Because there's so much amount of learning which happens through this session. It's not just about giving away. They always say, the more you give, the more you receive. This is what this platform is. You give one, but then in turn, you're receiving so much more. So
Yes,
that's the whole beauty of giving it up. But I thought somehow, since we are all online now, so this topic was somewhere where I felt most of us are very hesitant in doing business presentations, or rather oral presentations. And it's so much of an essential in the business world today. To be able to present ourselves and able to present the presentation. So I thought that was a hot topic. Let me pick up on that. Earlier, I thought I'll do storytelling. Then I said this was more interesting. So let me first create this, and then we can, have a canvas of storytelling, business storytelling, because I'm actually a business storyteller as well. So understanding the business stories, first we need to have the foundation, and the foundation is how to present.
Okay, so next presentation is on business story then, right?
Yeah, definitely. We look forward to the next presentation on the business storytelling, because that's a very interesting concept actually.
Right now it's in booming, like trending.
Yes, very much.
Dr. Nayak, the presentation is not only interesting but also very colorful, as you are is really it makes you to see listen always presentation is also need to be colorful, people to get attracted to that. Very very interesting, and it's very colorful, as I said. But surely as Dr. Neeta said, you should take a session how to use Canva for either presentation or using as in a video what you've done. Probably I'm not aware of it. It may be useful for others. Probably when time permits. I know that you'll be very busy with various activities. If time permits, probably sometime you can give half an hour to 1 hour time for us.
Sure. We'll definitely look forward and do that, Mr. Vijay. I'll be more than happy to do that, because while I am telling that, it also helps me to learn that skill even more. As they say, the more you practice, the more you learn.
True.
And the only way to learn is to teach.
Correct. Even I think in the same way. I'll definitely connect with you for a few things. So thank you very much. Let's conclude then.
Yes, thank you so much. If you are on different zones, here it is evening, probably for Mr. Vijay, it is still afternoon.
Afternoon, yes. Yeah, lunchtime.
Yes, so for the other zones, wish you a nice day. And for the zone, on our own zone, wish you all a very nice, happy evening. Good night.
So 1 minute, is anyone else has to like to say anything? Asifa, Monica, Savita? Either in the chat, or it will be useful for encouraging, motivating the speaker.
No, I guess. So let's conclude.
Yeah, you can conclude. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thanks.